Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Monday edition of Today in Sports Betting. We're doing it NBA style here today. By the way, if you want to hear Scott and I recap the NFL playoffs a little bit, that we did that on the beginning of our college basketball video. So if you're not excited about the college basketball, but you want to hear NBA or NFL rather, that's the place to check that out. Scott, we got a couple of TV games here tonight, and whoo, man, am I excited. We got a couple of barn burners we'll start off with the Miami Heat taking on your hometown Brooklyn Nets there, Scotty. How about those Nets, huh? Now, I know you and I both have a play on the side here, or on the total. So let's talk a little side, shall we? I like Miami to beat the number. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time on Today in Sports Betting. Now, who you got, Scott?
I got to lean to Miami as well. The issue that I simply have with the Nets is the fact that, as everyone can tell, fun fact, you cannot spell Brooklyn Nets. Or actually, you can spell Brooklyn Nets without the letter D. And I feel like that's a perfect summary of this team because they can't guard anybody. And you can watch them against the Cavs, watch them against the Heat, even though the Heat are missing about three of their four best players. Doesn't really matter. If you are in an offensive slump, my advice to you is to find a way to play Brooklyn because you'll get back on track pretty quickly. They just played the previous game. Heat ended up having a massive fourth quarter showing, scoring 40-plus points, losing by 4. Adebayo had a career-high 41 points. He was unstoppable in the game. And the issue I have with the Nets is that late in games, it seems like this team gets a little bit complacent with settling for long jumpers by the big three or, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And I feel like ball movement kind of goes out the window late in these games because they know when in doubt, lets them ISO and they'll get whatever they want. And at the end of the day, Miami, even though defensively gave up 128 points, started at least brainstorming to some degree on what to do in the fourth quarter. And it cut basically an 18-point deficit, 20-point deficit to 1 about halfway through the fourth quarter. So the issue I have with the Nets is the fact that it can't guard anybody. And if you can't guard anyone, I'm not going to be laying 7.5 with you. So for that reason, I'll lean to Miami.
Yeah, normally we look at the injuries and, make a decision because you've got Tyler Hero out. Of course, you got Jimmy Butler out. Leonard's out.
They're all out the previous game, though, and the Heat hung
That's right. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. I don't know, man. This is I still don't understand the Brooklyn trade. I just don't. Obviously, through the beginning of the season, the one thing they were missing was defense. So of course, you trade for. I don't know. Is there a worse defensive guard than James Harden?
It's close. I think Bradley Beal's pretty bad. Trae Young's probably the worst defender in the league.
Okay, yeah, I forget about Trae Young.
He's definitely bottom 5.
But yeah, no question. Certainly, he's the worst experienced defensive guard in the NBA. So yeah, it's you're just asking for nothing but heartbreak to lay any kind of points with this Brooklyn team, Scott. I
understand why the odds maker said it because the fact that on paper the Nets should kill this team,
right?
But in reality, that's why you play the games. Is why it's not played on paper. So I got to lean to the Heat.
They haven't covered as a favorite in their last 4 games. The last time they covered as a favorite was against the New York Knicks. Congratulations. So
that was actually before Harden. Did Harden play in that? Harden didn't even play.
No, they've played. Harden's been with them for 5 games.
No, I'm saying, yeah, the Nets were shorthanded. That was actually the last game before Harden. So since Harden got there, the Nets have not covered as a favorite.
Correct. Yeah, they beat the number against Miami or against Milwaukee, rather winning by 2 as a 3.5-point dog. Other than that,
that was before Kyrie even played. Truth is, I actually, even though Kyrie gets buckets and I understand that, I actually thought the Nets looked better before Kyrie came back. When it was just Harden and Durant, I actually kind of liked how the team looked more.
Yeah.
Is that controversial?
It's backed up by the stats that he's been with them for 3 games now.
Something like that.
Yeah, they put up 2 dreadful performances against Cleveland, losing badly in both of those games, losing by 12 points in each of those games. And more troubling, perhaps, got given up 136 points per game to Cleveland.
Not fun.
Cleveland, a team that had only broached 100 once before that series. In their first game, they scored 100, hadn't scored 100 since until they came to Brooklyn.
It is, not a fun time.
No. So I think there's absolutely no way you play anybody but Miami there. You ignore the injury list. It doesn't. There's no rhyme or reason to it, except that's how bad this Brooklyn defense is. So,
now, don't get me wrong. Would it shock me if the Nets came out and maybe smacked this team? I'd say maybe a little. Of course, on paper it should, but
right.
Nets even proved in the last game that even when it's up 20 points, you gotta play it out to the end because they really almost blew it last game.
Yep. Absolutely correct. Again. This is no great Miami team by any shakes at all. They've definitely taken a step back from where they were at the end of last season.
They've also been extremely injured all year long, but yes.
Also true. Yep. So Jimmy Buckets has been Hero's been out. So this is just a complete 100% fate of a dreadful Brooklyn Nets defense on my part.
Yep, I agree.
All right. So the great part about this card, that's the good game tonight, Scott. The other TV game.
Wait. Who's playing tonight on TV?
Yeah, that's it. Minnesota and Golden State.
The Warriors are playing. They're never on TV. Crazy.
I know that's your personal windmill that you.
No, it's a personal joke
every day.
As soon as I said that against the Lakers, they came back from like 18 down. So now it's a running joke. But I'm not joking if you pay attention. Last year was the Pelicans who were on TV all the time. This year it's the Warriors, and I know that they schedule all these games in advance on which games are on TV. NFL starts flexing some games around week 14 or 15 or so. And they start considering flexing some of its coverage.
Problem with these West Coast games, Scott, you don't have a lot of competition.
But truth is, you might want to start sending some people to Utah. Because Utah's actually pretty good.
Yeah, playing damn good basketball right now.
Just for an example, most of the West Coast teams are not very good, but how the Clippers, LeBron, even Utah, you got some options out there.
Phoenix.
Yeah, that too.
Phoenix is coming on. Denver's always entertaining to watch. Dallas is there,
Twice last week. So, yeah, but even Denver, there's a lot of teams I'd rather see than Golden State. But Golden State, I can't really figure this team out because this team seems to struggle whenever you think they're good, and they play well when you think they're bad. I think this team is just a flat 500 team that is probably going to barely sneak into a playoff spot. I think you'd agree with that.
Well, that's what they are in the season. They're 8-8 on the year. I don't know that I agree with it. I don't know that they are able to maintain that. I'm not a fan. Just about the time you think, well, really this team does have something. They go out there and they lay an egg, losing to the Knicks.
Yep.
And then absolutely not showing up against Utah. So
it's bad.
On the other hand, you got a team that is bad, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves.
That team is not bad. That team is awful.
Without Cat, without Karl Anthony Towns,
it's a lost cause.
It's a lost cause. I don't. And now they're going to be perhaps without D'Angelo Russell. He's questionable for this game.
Even better.
Who you got?
Well, I know I just spent a little while talking about the Warriors. I know I don't think they're as good as people think they are because they're on TV all the time. I got to take Golden State. I mean, I don't know how you look at Minnesota and say to yourself, this team is not a bottom 3 team in the league, especially with Towns out. I said about a week ago when Towns first got COVID, and I hope he makes a speedy recovery, of course, that this team without Cat might be the worst team in the entire league. And I think it still might be the worst team in the entire league. This team is awful. I'm not exactly sure how Saunders is still the head coach. I know this team has no talent, and I get that he's kind of set up to fail, but how many double-digit leads can you blow in the last 3 minutes of games before you get fired?
It does make you wonder.
I don't know. I think Saunders is probably the worst coach in the entire league. I know that Minnesota had an impressive win against New Orleans in its last game, which just sums up everything we need to know about our thoughts on New Orleans, who we've been roasting all year long for being a pretty underwhelming team.
Yep.
Minnesota, you look at all these games, hasn't played a road game since January 7th. No, that's not true. Played January 18th against Atlanta.
Yep.
Played one road game since January 8th.
Yeah.
That's kind of a concern there. without Towns against Golden State, who got absolutely run out by Utah in its last game by 19 and then lost the previous game at home to the Knicks by 15, you got to assume that Golden State will treat this as a get-right game, come out after losing by double digits in its last 2 games to just come out and smack this team. I think Golden State can win the blowout. I really think Golden State's going to win this game handily.
Yeah, they started the season with 3 straight losses, and since then they haven't lost more than 2 in a row. And of course, they're now on a 2-game losing streak, going back home. 8.5's a pretty good lug. This isn't a Golden State team that even when they win tends to cover.
I just really dislike this Timberwolves team.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be, for me, it's going to have to be a fade of the Timberwolves as opposed to a full-throated backing of Golden State.
Plus, sorry, my question for you is, let's say hypothetically that Russell does not play.
Okay.
Where does this line go? 11?
I think you get to 10. I'm not sure you quite get to 11.
That's the thing, though, is I know you might argue saying, well, Russell might not be a good enough player to move a point total 2 points or so. But if he does not play, who on Minnesota can score?
You got nobody.
You got Malik Beasley, who's a decent complimentary guy, but he doesn't really have much offensive talent. I know, sorry, he does, but he doesn't really create much off the dribble. He's more of just a shooter. I actually like Beasley. I think he's pretty good. But Towns is out. You have Naz Reid and Vanderbilt as your big men. Sure. I think Reed's okay, but whatever. Okogie has no offensive talent. And you have Rubio at the point guard, who can't really shoot too well, but he's more of a facilitator. There's no point in passing the ball if none of your teammates can shoot. So
is this going to be one of the 6 games Rubio plays this year? That's great.
I'm just saying that even when he does play, he doesn't give you much offensive threat besides playmaking, and you can't really make plays to a bunch of scrubs. So I think Golden State defensively has looked pretty good, with the exception of the last 2 games. It just seems like a good spot for Golden State to come out and just smack this team. I think you'd agree with it.
Yeah, sure.
Minnesota can't guard anybody, and they can't score. So I got to lean Golden State here.
All right. Yeah, I just don't like that big number.
I don't like laying big numbers with Golden State either. But I can't look at Minnesota and say to myself, this is a real NBA team.
I know, and that's to be honest with you, I'm not going to play this in real life, but
I actually might.
We're all about making a pick here, so
I actually might play this in real life.
What's that?
I actually might play this in real life.
All right, well,
I might. I just think it's such a good spot for Golden State. See him go run out twice, even by the Knicks. Now he faced the worst team in the league. Doesn't it seem like a good spot where Golden State just absolutely rolls, gets back on track, and then probably falls on its face again in its next game?
Yeah, I just keep coming back to losing at home by 15 to the Knicks. That's just
how bad are the Knicks though?
How bad?
I think the Knicks are actually not as terrible as people want to make them out to be. The teams are at least muscles.
Bottom 8 in the league instead of bottom 3. So
yeah, sure. Okay, that's fine. What are the Knicks right now though? Like hovering 500? A little bit below, of course. But what are they? 2 under?
Yeah, that seems right.
It's really not that bad.
Anecdotally, that seems about right. So.
I watched them against Portland last night. The team hung tough, lost by 3. I don't know. I think that even though it's a bad loss, Golden State was also on a back-to-back, which wasn't exactly a great spot. Then Utah, of course, is actually a good team and killed them. But I don't know. I actually might play Golden State.
All right, good enough. Any thoughts on the total?
I'm actually going to lean to the under. I know that there's been over money in this game, and I think it makes sense. But at the end of the day, I just don't think Minnesota can score.
Yeah, it's a Minnesota team that they can play decent defense. They're not terrible.
And for the record, I do not think Russell's going to play in this game.
Okay, what do you base that on?
I just don't think that there's really any point. They have an immediate rematch against Golden State 2 days later. It's not like Minnesota's playing for anything. I just don't see the point of forcing back your injury-prone point guard who, I don't know, is contributing to your team being the worst team in the league. I mean, Russell's got talent, but what's the point?
Are you telling me Minnesota's already playing out the string in January?
I actually think that even though they'll never admit it, I think they were playing the string as soon as Cat got COVID. In fact, even before Cat got COVID, they won their first 2 games and lost their next 7, and then Cat was injured, then got COVID. This team's a lost cause. You think the players on the team think that they can actually rally the troops?
I wouldn't think so. I think they've given up on Flip Saunders.
Minnesota's been Flip
It's
Saunders.
not. It's his kid, right?
Yeah, Flip Saunders passed away. It's his son.
I do that. Yeah. It's not. It's little Saunders.
Ryan Saunders?
It's Flop.
Flop Saunders? That's a hell of a nickname. That's a hell of a nickname. I actually love that. That is something. See, oh boy, that is a. You just came up with brilliance right there. I just witnessed the bottle.
Sometimes you got to sit through the whole show to wait for the nugget. But
Flop Saunders is the nugget of all nuggets, and I will never call him anything else besides Flop Saunders for the rest of his career.
All right,
that is unbelievable. Wow. Okay, I don't know how to top that. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with Golden State, and I'll leave it on that note. That's a mic drop and a half.
There's your closer right there, folks.
That's a closer and a half. That's Mariano Rivera of lines right there. I'm done.
All right, guys. Well,
wow. Okay.
That's going to do it for our show. If you can impress one person, yeah, it's your day.
I don't know how to respond to that. That was just perfect.
It's just sitting right there, buddy. It's just,
yeah, it really was. It was sitting in front of my eyes the entire time. It was like Ace Ventura, Finkel as Einhorn. Like it was just right there, and I couldn't figure it out until it was just brought to my attention.
Outstanding. All right. Anything else on the NBA card get your attention here today?
Just looking through the card here. I know that it's a big number, but I'll lean the Lakers. I know that this team has been a thorn in my side every single game this season. Lakers still undefeated on the road, though. I don't really know what it is, but it seems like the Lakers go out of their way to play well every time on the road, and then at home they tend to take a nap. I'm not really sure what that's about. But Cleveland, yes, they beat the Nets twice. I understand that. Ever since then, back to being Cleveland. So I think the Lakers will come out and smack this team. You have to look at Cleveland. I know that Garland's back. I know Sexton's back. But at the end of the day, the Lakers can clamp down on this team and still score. I don't think anyone has an answer for LeBron or Anthony Davis. I think the Lakers will probably roll in this game. I think you'd probably agree with that. It's tough to predict the Lakers, but it just seems like a spot where Cleveland's just going to get run out of the gym.
Yeah, I think Cleveland had their two game day in the sun there against Brooklyn. And,
yeah, that's how I feel.
Snap back to reality.
There goes gravity.
There you go, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, before we start getting into Mom's Spaghetti, we're going to wrap this up right here, guys. This is, as always, if you're looking for more information on these games or any other games, don't forget to stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com. Deep dives into every game every single day. Always there for you and always free. winnersandwhiners.com. And we wish you nothing but the best for all of your plays today. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. For myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Winers. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Hope you have a very, very good, successful Monday. Make a little money. And we'll be back tomorrow to talk about it on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.